Welcome back to 1 Million Pumpkins Ranch for more public displays of homesteading. And wow, what a gorgeous day it is. Such a insanely warm day for December here in northern Arizona. Amarok is wandering off that direction. But I've got the lambs out here. Of course, my bottle baby is at my side. Precious little moose. And I figured we would walk the perimeter of our 40 acres here. There's not much to graze on. We had a terribly dry season, and this winter is also very warm and dry so far. So we don't stay at one spot for too long. And this is on the verge of this road. So it's just actually maintenance. Hi, ladies. So here you get kind of an up close of Escapade, and you can see how her she wants a treat, and I'm trying to videotape her, but anyways, she has a wonky horn. And it's kind of funny because every time I stop, Pamplemousse cuts me off. 25 is big and fat. Look at him. And today he let me play with him with the halter. This one here that we call Hokey, that one's the wildest one. That one still will not eat out of my hand. Donkey is also giant. What a guy. And that's orange juice next to him. Pokey, he's pretty friendly. He likes to eat out of my hand. He let me brush his head with the halter. Pamplemousse, I put the halter on her, and she did several laps before getting more treats. She did really good learning to halter. She's going to need to halter because she's going to be our milk lamb, or milk ewe. So welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by for some Grazestream. Let me know if you have any questions about raising sheep or living off grid. So I've been talking to another channel. You should check her out. She's new out here in northern Arizona. I think she's in the same county as us. Designer off grid. She's really coming along well with her tiny homes, and she's talking to me about getting sheep for in the springtime. So that kind of organizes my thinking. She said she was going to pick my brain, and so here, let me pick my brain myself on how to start raising hair sheep in Apache County, Arizona. So the first thing you need to do is fence your property, and Arizona is an open range state. That means that the cattle have the right of way, and it's up to the landowner to exclude the cattle. And there are guidelines as to the spacing and type of fencing that's legally, holds, I don't know, it's a liability issue with cattle coming onto your land. And if you have the authorized fencing, then you've done your due diligence as a landowner. Hello, Pamplemousse. Right, so fencing is number one. And what we opted for is high tensile electric fencing. And we used a solar panel energizer, and that delivers some pretty high volts. I think my husband said it's 10,000 volts if you touch it. And so that's really, nobody wants to touch that. Let's walk on, pamplemousse. Right, so you need fencing like that. Not just to keep the cattle off, but to keep the coyotes out and to keep the livestock guardian dog in. There he is out there. That's Amarok. He's half Great Pyrenees, and then the other half is Maremma and Anatolian Shepherd. So livestock guardian dogs love to wander far and wide. Sorry about those going in and out like that. If you don't fence that dog, it's going to roam everywhere. And once again, it's a free range, open range state. And the ranchers can shoot your dog dead. It's within their rights. If your dog goes and chases their cattle, or worse yet, harms them, you are liable for that. And, you know, good fences make good neighbors. So I would say fencing is the number one thing. And then, you know, part and parcel is that dog. You need to have that dog. We got him when we still had a Dutch Shepherd, but he became elderly and passed away this November. Rest in peace. Best dog in the world, Brisket. I still miss him, of course. Oh, man. Anyways, you probably want to have 2 guardian dogs, or, you know, a shepherd daytime dog, like a German Shepherd. Good barking dog to keep trespassers away, and then a nighttime guardian dog, like a Pyrenees mix, or those other varieties. You can look them up. Livestock guardian dogs. Lots of people out here have them, so they're pretty easy to find on Craigslist or Marketplace by word of mouth. And those dogs stay outside 24/7. They're all-weather dogs. Just like these sheep are pretty all-weather. They have these, even though they're hair sheep, they don't have wool. They have hair coats. Hello there. And I'm trying to read with the glare. Amazing Life Official. Thanks for joining us. And Sharia F. Williams, thanks so much for joining us. Right. So you kind of want a team of dogs, but 2 of the LGDs is good because they can cover opposite sides of your property. The coyotes are crafty, and they will make their approach from different sides of your property, and they will speak to each other with their barks and howls. They'll like triangulate your dog. And even though the Pyrenees mixes are big, you don't want them outnumbered and have vet bills. But also, I was saying they're all weather. So these are hair sheep. They're going to shed their coats in the summer. These lambs have some pretty woolly coats. Those are the St. Croix mixed ones. The black belly ones are less woolly looking. But either way, they're very, they're weather resistant. They have lanolin in their fur. That's the stuff that they put in hand cream. Amarok! Come on. What a good boy. What a good boy. Look at that callback. He sure has come a long way. Good boy. He's just over 3 years old. And he's finally grown a brain. That's how they are too. They're very independent. Come on. Good boy. And they need to imprint on their flock. This guy imprinted on me, And so that's caused some confusion in his Pyrenees brain. And plus, I had no experience whatsoever. And I ended up like taking on the lion's share of spending time with him. And my husband did all the research. So I've just kind of picked it up by having done it wrong. But anyways, you want to have your dog imprint on your flock, not on you. So fencing and the dog. And talking about the all-weather, let's walk on, sheepies. They're all-weather, so what they need is, we've just built them pallet shade, like wind and rain protectors. You could do it with straw bales, you could do it with hoops. We've done it with tea stakes and pallets, and then plywood or corrugated roofing. You can redneck it, but they need something. They can have wind and rain, or wind and cold, or cold and rain, or cold and wet, but you can't have all three. So you have to have some kind of roof and wind block. But other than that, they don't need a barn or anything. And it's actually best if they are out and about as much as possible and not stuck in their corral. So we all do what we can according to our context. And what I'm able to provide for them is a couple hours out and about, getting their exercise, getting their enrichment, being able to at least get some of these native plants. There's a lot of biology that goes into that that's beneficial for regenerating your land, with them turning these rough, bristly, carbonaceous plants into fertilizer, and also watering with their urine. That's another kind of fertilizer and helps with the aridity of this landscape. Right, so you want to have them out and about as much as you can. Our original concept was to do movable paddocks. If you're familiar with Greg Judy, which if you are, you probably aren't watching me because I'm such a amateur compared to him. Anyways, though, we got our St. Croix ram through his ranch. But anyways, they do parasite resistance, and it's called adaptive mobile paddocks. And so you use these plastic step-ins, and then you string polyline electric rope, and that keeps your sheep in if they're trained to do it. So his ranch is called Green Pastures for a good reason. It's very, very lush in Missouri. But as you can see, it is not very lush this year here. This is the worst year since we've arrived for the pasture conditions. But anyways, if you live in a moist, soft soil context, you can use those step-ins. And you can keep your sheep in, because they know that you're going to move them to the greener side of the fence, tomorrow. So they happily eat inside their paddock. But in this landscape, you cannot keep the sheep on this for any length of time. You'll deteriorate the condition of your soil, and that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. So, the compromise for us in our context is to keep them in a roomy corral with a shelter, and then they come out for enrichment and exercise. So those are several of the things that you need to start up raising sheep here in Apache County. A good fence, a good dog, a little shelter, and management time and strategy for grazing. What do these guys eat? Because obviously this is not enough to keep this many sheep alive on the carrying capacity of our property. Not this year. I think under, the typical, whatever average conditions, the county says that you can keep, I think, 7 head of sheep on our 40 acres for carrying capacity. 0.7 of a cow on 40 acres is the carrying capacity. So for that mobile grazing concept, you would bale feed, and we did that. You lay the bales of hay on the ground, and the sheep come, and you keep them in that small area. They call it mobbing up. You mob them up, and they eat the bale of hay, and they trample it, and they poop and pee and fertilize. Then you move them into the next spot. Some people do it daily. Some people even do it twice a day. It depends on your context. And you can massage your property with the level of trample, with the level of manure deposit. So you can really get fine-tuned with your shepherding management strategy. And again, that comes down to your context. How much time do you have? What is your topsoil like? This is actually pretty decent for digging swales in. It's not very rocky, but it bakes solid like adobe. It's a sandy loam. And it also, when it's dried out like it is, it's not very conductive for the electricity. So if you're using the electric polyline rope, or if you're using netting, you might have to wet the soil to make it work. So again, that's one reason why we dropped that style or method. Come to Turkey. Well, that's a long way from Arizona. Do you have sheep in Turkey? So yeah, so you have to decide how you're going to use your sheep on your type of land. Some people, like the channel I mentioned at the beginning, her property looks pretty rocky compared to ours. She has like the lava flow going over the surface, and she has like the bigger trees, and she has a different microclimate. She's more in a pine forest, and we're on a grassy savanna, with the juniper, the scrub juniper, dotting it, giving us some shade and some cover. Right, so step-ins really would probably be bad for that person to try to use. But if you go ahead, and this is our plan, is to install kind of a matrix of the T-posts. Then you could hook them together with the polyline, the electric polyline, or with the sheep netting, and you could have movable pastures that way. So, you could spend time for free walking around with your sheep like this. You could invest in, the permanent matrix, and that way, anyone could do it, and you hook them up in their corral, in their pasture for the day, bale graze them, they improve that pasture, and you move them every day. So you'd need, a bit of infrastructure to make that happen. Totally doable. And if you stock manage, that means not growing an overpopulation. You do not want to overpopulate the stock on your property. You want to keep these things happy, healthy, and productive, and you basically want for them to pay for themselves, and you want to close the loop eventually is the goal. Close the loop where we're not buying in their feed and their meat, and their on the hoof sale value is more than equal to the inputs that we put in. And this year I feel like we made major strides that way. We sold 11 animals on the hoof. We harvested hundreds of pounds of lamb and mutton. And we've still got 2 new ewe lambs here for breeders, and then 4 grow out wethers for the freezer, and then 1 ewe that we're going to cull. This one. So we've got 5 to put in the freezer and 2 that are going to produce lambs. We've got 8 ewes breeding with our 2 rams right now. Now here's maybe spend some time thinking about, do you need to breed your own sheep, or are you better off buying what are called feeder lambs? So those ones you would just, take care of and fatten them up for processing. Feeder lambs. So that's what designer Off Grid is talking about with me. She's talking about purchasing some of the 2026 lambs and growing them out to feed herself and her family. And I think that's a great way to get started. You can see if you can get along with the animals, like if you vibe with them, what kind of context is working for you. Like, do you have time to take them out? Do you want to deal with cleaning their corral? Do you want to invest in electric infrastructure for bale grazing, without shepherding at the same time, where you just put them in those pastures? So you can test drive. You can see if you like their disposition, their temperament, and if the chores that they require, if that's your level of animal husbandry that you want to deal with. The next step could be, maybe getting a dairy ewe with a lamb, and then you would see, how handling the maternity of your sheep, your ewe, and only later, or if you're really dead set on it, like we were really dead set on this whole concept, so we went all the way in, and we got not just 1 ram, we got 2 rams, which is, perhaps excessive for our tiny context, but I actually like it because we can breed these American blackbellies. We have an American blackbelly ram, and then we have the starter ewes that came as a breeding flock. So we've got these American blackbellies. You can get 100% purebred, good resale on the lambs, and they stay small. That's a full-grown ewe. They stay small, so if you're on a homestead level, it's a manageable slaughter for you. Also, they stay fresh on the hoof. They don't mature out and turn gamey or lose quality as they mature. They stayed quite delicious. American blackbellies are considered one of the gourmet varieties. Then we have a St. Croix ram that we got from Greg Judy. That's his daddy. And he got line bred we took the St. Croix ram and bred him to a Katahdin ewe, and we got the mama for this guy, and we bred her back to the St. Croix ram again to get this big 3/4 St. Croix guy, and he's just lovely. So his moniker is Market Lamb 2025. So anyways, if this guy had not been weathered, he could be sold as a ram to breed with these guys, and they would be unrelated. Plus, these are the kind of hybrid vigor that you get if you breed the blackbelly with the St. Croix. You get some larger size, and like I would say more meat to bone ratio with these hybrids. But there's a lot more potential for mixing and matching with that range of genetics. I'm able to sell the community starter flocks with an unrelated ram and a flock of ewes, and I really think that's a bonus. We did sell the pick of the season as an intact ram to go start his own flock, and I can tell you, just feel just this sense of satisfaction, and like my work here is coming to fruition. It feels really good to raise sheep. So these sheep, we breed them once a year, but these varieties people do breed them more than once a year. I don't like to be hard on my females, so I only breed them once a year. And most of the time you're going to get twins. So we've got 8 put to rams, so we're going to get between 8 and 16 lambs this springtime. That's kind of amazing. You can like double, triple, quadruple your flock in no time. You can sell them or you can put them in the freezer. But like I said earlier, you should maintain your stock size within your context. Like don't have more than you have the facilities and the feed or the carrying capacity of the land. They will overpopulate so quickly. Right, so they've been exposed at the beginning of this month. So they're due to, I'm looking for the dog over there. He's back there by that tree. They're not these lambs, but the mamas that are with the rams, those ones are due to drop lambs in May. So 5 months. If you compare that to cattle, I think, what do they take, like 11 months? I want to say, and then they take like another at least year after that. Like cattle, you've got like a long investment before you get any return. And with these hair sheep, wham, you breed them when they're between 9 months to a year and a half for their first breed, and you've got 2 lambs out of that young ewe most of the time. It's great in just 5 months. And then you can harvest them at like 9 months to a year. But if you are homesteading, now see how they just follow me? If you're homesteading, you might not want to process your whole grow out flock. You might want to, space that out. You might not have a big enough freezer. You might not be wanting to can everybody all at once. That's a huge job. You might want the meat to trickle in. And in that case, these little black bellies, they're really the name of the game. One little black belly is like, I would say between 25 and 45 pounds, depending on how mature you let it get finished. And they can enjoy this really low quality scrubby feed that we have here, and they just thrive. So our seed stock, we pick kinds that are parasite resistant, and we picked stock that don't need a lot of hoof care. And here comes the other thing that you have to be prepared for. If you're going to do sheep breeding, you're going to have to look at some things that you don't want running through your line. Like her, she keeps moving. I've talked about it before, but her horns grow too much. This one here. Her horns grow too much, and that one's going in her eye. And her feet grow too much, and they're so tough that regular sheep hoof trimmers don't work on her. we had to upgrade to, man, hoof trimmers. They start off cheap, but if you go to the horse size, the hoof trimmers start costing over $100. And for just one problem child, she's a dear love. That's the problem with sheep, is that you'll fall in love with them, but you still have to cull them. Yeah, so she's had a good run. She's given us some lambs, but that horn growing into her eye, that we can't live with that. So we're gonna have to cull her before it becomes a medical issue. We do not want that trait going through our genetics. So that's going to be a home processing sheep for us. And so that's why I say it can be heartbreaking. You know them, you name them. Well, I do. I name my animals. I know them, I name them. I fall in love with them. But sometimes we must take their lives. And we do it with great reverence, great praise to God above. And that's kind of the finishing part of making so many babies. Prey animals make a lot of babies, and they're always the cutest kind of babies, these food animals. But they do it because they are prey animals. And we are the apex predator on the homestead. Right, Moosey? Moosey, I fed her with a bottle. We fed her with a bottle since she was newborn. She's going to be a dairy mama, and I don't think I'll ever be able to put her down after after bottle feeding her. All right. Well, that's about all I can think of to talk about right now. Whoa, this one got a little handsy with me. Put her feet up on me. Do any of you have any questions? If you're live, put it in the chat below. If you're in the replay club, go ahead and put it in the comments section. If you like this kind of content, showing my animals, doing my best to husband them the best so they have excellent quality of life, and so that they work into the system of us caring for them and them caring for us. That's what this channel's about. Public displays of homesteading here at 1 Million Pumpkins Ranch. So, like and subscribe. Click the notification bell if you want to be alerted when I go live. My phone the memory is full. I could barely even take still photos anymore. But I can live stream for however long this is. Half an hour, as long as, we got stuff to talk about. Or if you guys give me the feedback that you want to see or hear anything, go ahead and drop those comments, and like I said, click the notification bell. And since 10 of you are in here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what's going on and rest my voice unless you have a question. Take care. Hi, good boy. Hi, good boy. Good boy. Right, this is the Q&A part of this video, if you have any. Otherwise, just chill to the Grazestream. What spooked you? These beggar treats. I can't say no. One question that people do ask me that nobody's asked me today, but people always ask, how do I get them to go with me? And it's just so natural. I have a bucket of grain that they want, right? You want that? And then the other half of that equation is that they stick together as a flock. So some of these don't want to be touched, don't want to eat out of my hand yet, but they stick together. So you at least want to have a tame one that eats out of your hand and comes running when you shake the bucket. That's key. If they see pamplemousse come running to the bucket, they'll all join in. And if they see everybody come running, they'll form a circle and the shy ones will eat the scraps off the ground. Hello, Marie! Hooray! So good to see you. Love you. Thanks for joining us. Here's a dead baby juniper. Not quite all the way dead. Mostly we have some really nice trees though. We're almost to the northeast corner of our 40 acres. And you can see the cliffs of the wash when we get up there. So we've got, it's a 1/4 mile square to make 40 acres. Come on, sheeps. Let's go, sheeps. I want you to see them play because they're so cute. Pamplemousse keeps tripping me. She stops under my feet. Come on, sheeps. So here's our property marker. I'm seeing what look like horse prints. Probably the cowboys. There's our northeast property marker. So the next corner is south that way 1/4 mile. I don't know where Amrock's wandered off to. Pyrenees are very independent dogs. They don't really like to be told what to do. They are bred to make their own decisions. So you want to find good stock that comes from a line that's worked with livestock. You don't want puppy mill pet Pyrenees. You want to get working dogs. This gully I call the sinkhole because it has a round head cut. But sometimes the lambs will go crazy playing on it. Let's see if they do. Hi, lambs. Hey, Omega. I'm glad to have you join us. How you doing? There's little Pokey with his horns. It's kind of a steep, steep gully. Oh, there he is. Hi, Amarok. Excuse me. Hi, Amarok. How you doing? Good boy. Let me see what you say. I have to shade it somehow. The glare out here is crazy. Ram bam, thank you, ma'am. That's right, that's how the rams do it. They come well equipped if you look at them. Everyone who visits remarks upon it. There she goes. Pamplemousse gets playful. Go on, you guys, go play. They're gonna make me go down in there to get them to come down. Maybe they're just not playful today, huh? More businesslike, huh? Are we still rolling? Or did we get cut off? We've got just a slight breeze here too, but I don't have a good microphone running, so it just blows right across the phone mic. Oh, I was talking about sheep beans. That's what they drop behind them, but ram balls are a whole other story. And I've never had any of that type of Rocky Mountain oyster. I watched Ewan McGregor eat some on his motorcycle show when he went to Mongolia. And it was castration day and they had a feast. So I think they like to eat the juniper as a health tonic. It has those like pine terpenoids or like the turpentine kind of terpenoids. And those are anti-parasitic as well. So one of the benefits of grazing on the range is that they will self-select some medicinal plants out here. Oh, here's another example. This is my follower Steve. This is his favorite plant. It's a salt bush. It's seen better days in the season. Oh, good. Thank you, Keith, for giving me the 5x5. I'm on 4G, too far for the Wi-Fi from the house. See if I can raise this. I'm looking into the sun so much. The round balls are too valuable for their given purpose to eat them. Oh, I will tell kind of a funny story since we're talking about this though. So one of the benefits of having your sheep in a kennel, I mean not a kennel but a corral, is that you can collect all their manure, their beans, and put it on your garden. It's like rabbit manure, it's cold manure, so you can put it directly on your plants. So of course that's what I do. And they leave snippets of hay on the ground mixed in with the beans, so it's just kind of a nice mulchy mess. Well, not too long after castration day, and that's where we put rubber bands on these little guys on their trouble nuggets, and then they shrivel up and fall off. So I was out in the garden crawling around working with the plants at the ground level, and I saw something bright green laying on the ground, and I thought it was like a hornworm from the tomato patch. So I looked closer because it wasn't moving. It was one of the castration bands with a little empty sack, or mummified sack attached to it. Rustic homestead life. Yeah, so I like to price these little baby, these guys, the little male blackbellies, when they're like 2-3 months old. Those ones go for $75 when they're weathered. Those are purely for feeding up. The females have more potential, like you say, more reproductive potential. So when they're young like that, the female blackbellies go for $100. The St. Croix and Katahdin mixes go for a little bit more. And the longer I keep them, the more they cost because I have more input put into them. And when they're first all born, I immediately start to advertise the ram lambs, because there's only a short window of time before they're going to get banded, castrated. They can start impregnating the ewes and ewe lambs in their corral like upwards of 2 months. They might already be fertile. So I try to get those sold and separated as soon as possible, or if we pass that time period, then they get weathered. Weather means a castrated boy. Like donkey. Keep rubber bands away from your boys. It takes a like a Victorian torture device looking instrument that spreads the little rubber band wide enough that it can encircle the the business there and clamp down. Just, you know. Anyways, in other news, I think that's probably from tool making. I bet down that means I have to treat. I do find a lot of Native American artifacts out here. Tool napping shards like that, and tons of pottery. I looked up the painting variety and clay type of the pottery, and it's like 800, 900 years old. That blows my mind. Yeah, I think it's a great idea to wait until you're ready. Don't get in over your head with animals. Make sure that you increase your stock only as you can. Increase your investment and input. And, I'm saying that like as a don't do what we did, because that's one of the errors that we've made coming out here. I don't know if it's an error or, individual prioritizing. I think you have to have a baseline level of animal husbandry to even consider it. And I'm not speaking to you in this case, Keith. I know you would do that. Like you're talking about building a bomb-proof poultry pen. And that's the right frame of mind to have. They're defenseless without our preparedness. Sister, when you do it wrong, trust me, we've done things wrong. Is one of the final inputs, and it shouldn't have been an afterthought. You have to provide your sheep with minerals. So the feed store, you can buy sheep mineral, and you have to make sure they always have a bowl of mineral. It's not just salt. It's also got different trace minerals that they require to have their bodies run right. The rumination is a complicated system. I don't know all the names of the minerals that they need, but you buy the mixed bag from the feed store, or you can, if you get more into it, you can get the choice minerals where they have separate tubs and the animals select the minerals that their bodies require. That's a, much more well-designed and involved husbandry level that we aim for. You got to start where you are. That's why I say, we're not perfect. So sometimes the mineral can be scarce. The supply lines are kind of hard out here anyway. One thing goes wrong and there's no Bermuda hay. One thing goes wrong and, no shipment of any kind of Purina. And that includes sheep mineral. So it's always good to have backups. But anyways, we had a lot of frog-legged births in 25. And I just have to take a moment and take accountability, because we did not keep those mineral bowls full up. And I've kind of identified that as the reason for the frog legs was not having mineral. And so, you have to do soul searching and take accountability. It was my responsibility, and I did not live up to it. But at the same time, you can take accountability without browbeating or self, flagellating like they used to do in the medieval times. They would walk down the street and whip themselves into a bloody froth and say, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Well, that doesn't help the sheep that are alive, does it? What helps the sheep that are still alive is for me to learn and do better. So hopefully that's what I'm doing. I'm glad that you are finding it informative. Really appreciate you being here. Why did we call the ranch 1 Million Pumpkins? When we walked over the land, I was just mesmerized, and I really, I'm a fan of Puebloan culture and the Hopi and the Kachina culture and all of that, and this area and southern Arizona down into Mexico is where humans domesticated the Three Sister crops. And I had grown so many pumpkins in California, and it was so easy that I thought I would have it even easier here. So we were trying to think of what to call it, and I just, in a fit of silliness, 1 million pumpkins, because it's a life goal. We're going to grow 1 million pumpkins. I'm going to stamp them with serial numbers. I'm going to have like cartloads of them and sell them at the farmer's market. And if you pick the pumpkin number of the day, guess what you would win? You'd win another pumpkin. So that's why I named it 1 Million Pumpkins. Very silly and absurd. That's how I roll. And then it turns out that this season is so short up here. It's really hard to grow pumpkins. You can grow a pumpkin vine. You can grow some baby pumpkins on it, but it's pretty hard to get like a full-size mature pumpkin going. I haven't nailed that strategy yet, but it's a life goal. I think we're at about 40 pumpkins in 4 years. We have a few decimal places to add to that before we get to 1 million. So I hope I live long and prosper. Now Amrock is coming up from the gully carrying, looks like a pelvis. What you got, Amrock? Is that a pelvis or is that a head? Sheep, we don't want to go there. Don't go by him. I don't want to get any food guarding behavior from him. Good sheep. Good sheep. Good sheep. So I just shake. Give it a little shake and they come along with me. Well, it's windy. Maybe I'll do it later. All right. I think that's a pelvis that he's got. That's right, Keith. We do the best we can. And next time we can try harder. I think those two things have to go together. Now, I'm getting to this, we call it the North Gate. We've fenced 4.5 acres out of our 40. So that's the North Gate looking in. But I'm going to take them around to the driveway gate where we started. And I'm going to have to call Matt because we're still getting these used to going through the garden gate to go back into their current corral. They would rather be with their mom still. They would rather be with the larger flock in general. It's too crowded for breeding to have non-breeders mixed up. And the rams can be aggressive. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your pine tree endeavor. That is a really valuable contribution to any community, propagating good things like that. Alrighty, folks. I'm gonna call this live stream done, this Grazestream done. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can hear more Arizona wind loud in your ear and look at cute sheep live on the internet. All right, cheers and blessings.